Today I'm in Yuma, Arizona, and I'm on my way to see Noland Arbaugh, who is the first recipient of the Neuralink, which he had implanted in January 2024.
I'm on my way to go and interview Noland, who is the first recipient of the Neuralink. And I'm quite surprised actually, because there's been a lot of media reporting about Noland, but nobody's actually reached out to Noland and asked for his side of the story. That was until yesterday when Bloomberg published a really great article about him and really just kind of explored his perspectives, his experience, and what exactly it's been like for him to have a Neuralink.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
Recently, Noland went viral on social media because he was playing a game of chess using only his mind. Now, unsurprisingly, there's been a lot of media reporting about Noland, but most of the time, everybody just refers to him as the first patient.
You are very stunning and beautiful. I love your outfit.
Thank you, I love your flower.
Come on in and meet Nolan.
There he is.
This is Nolan. This is Briar.
I'm Nolan.
Nice to see you in person. Thank you, I wore my special outfit for you.
Yeah, no, it looks great.
I'm here with Noland today to hear his side of the story. What's been his experience? Has there been any complications with his Neuralink? What can he actually do with it? How does he foresee his future looking? What are his hopes and dreams and aspiration? And I'm gonna play a game of chess with him.
You grew up here, or where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I was born in Hawaii.
Interesting.
And then my mom and my dad moved here when I was about 2 or 3. And they got divorced, and then she met my stepdad, and we stayed in Yuma. I grew up here basically since I was 2 years old, and went to basically elementary school, middle school, high school, and even a bit of community college all on one street. It's not a very big town. After I turned 18, I moved to Texas, but this is after my accident. I moved back here, so this has basically been 25 years of my life, 24 years of my life. It's been here.
And you were an athlete.
Yeah, I played basically everything, any sport you can think of. The only one I never played was baseball, which I regret now because I'm a big baseball fan, but I played everything. My favorite was probably rugby. I was a big rugby guy, so I loved doing that.
Noland, before his freak accident, was a young athlete from Arizona who dislocated his C4-C5 spinal disc in a freak diving accident 8 years ago while working as a camp counselor, leaving him paralyzed with no sensations below the shoulders.
What I've been describing to people is it's almost like you're running into the ocean, and once you get to a wading level, the water's about waist deep, the waves start coming crashing onto you, you kind of dip under a wave. That's what I did at a man-made lake. Obviously there are no waves, but me and 3 other guys ran into the water, and all at the same time we all jumped in. It's not like we were diving headfirst into shallows. It was all waist deep or higher water, and we all jumped in, and I think maybe one of them hit me on the side of the head. I might have caught a hand or an elbow or a knee or a foot, or maybe there was just something in the water. I've joked that maybe it was a turtle or something. I don't really know, but they both came up and I didn't. I woke up face down in the water, and I remember not being able to move, and I just kind of dawned on me, okay, I'm paralyzed. I can't move. I won't be able to turn over. So I was face down in the water for 5, 10, maybe longer, 5, 10 seconds, maybe longer. And I just decided that I wasn't going to be able to hold my breath any longer. So what I've been basically saying is I just accepted my fate and took a big drink. I wasn't scared at all. I think I had an unnatural peace, an unnatural calm with all of it. I just accepted what had happened and just sort of moved on. I woke up a little bit here and there throughout my trip from the water to the hospital. 2 of my best friends were there, and they pulled me out of the water. 2 girls, they were lifeguards. I owe them my life, really. And they pulled me out. I remember waking up in an ambulance, having the paramedic tell me what had happened. I remember getting transferred to a helicopter and them telling me they were flying me to a hospital. I remember waking up right before going into surgery, and the nurses were telling me what had happened and what's about to happen. There was a girl that I had brought to camp with me who was standing over me just bawling, and I was trying to comfort her, tell her everything was going to be fine. I told the nurse not to call my mom. And yeah, and then I went into surgery and woke up, and one of the first things I remember was seeing my mom. And yeah, it was a hard first week, but we got through it, yeah. For the most part, I just wanted to move forward and wanted to know what I could do to either get better. The first couple of years, it was what I need to do to get better, and then after I realized that I probably was going to get better, I realized what I could do to, or I wanted to know what I could do to just make my life more livable, more independent, not be such a burden on those around me. But yeah, for the most part, it was hard. It was a lot of adapting to my new life and, trying to find ways to find our new normal. But I wouldn't say it was, it wasn't the hardest thing in the world. It was hard, but I got through it.
I think you sound like you've got a very strong mindset. I think a lot of people in today's society could probably learn a thing or two from you. Everyone's got this victim mentality, it feels like, at the moment on social media. It's like, oh, my life is so much worse than yours. And here we've got Noland over here who's kind of like, it wasn't the worst thing. He's like, I just kind of went for it.
Yeah, there's a documentary about a girl. She was a surfer who was attacked by a shark and got her arm bit off. And a few years back, I watched it, and she said something that really resonated with me because it was something that I've said the entire time in my accident. She said that she was glad that it happened to her and not her friend who was with her. I've always thought the same thing. Like, I always knew that of my friends, we've been very lucky to have no one in our group of friends or anyone we know fall victim to anything terrible. No one we know had died or anything. And I always thought, what was going to happen to us? Who was going to be the one to experience something tragic? And it ended up being me, but I was glad it was me because I would not want any of my friends or anyone I know to go through what I've gone through. And I think I'm capable of handling it. I'm not saying they aren't. I just know that I am, and I would much rather me go through that than any of them.
Noland has many dreams about the future, about making money and owning a house, to helping his parents retire, to having a family. And all of this could be possible with something like the Neuralink. Elon Musk says his ultimate goal is to help humanity, including healthy people, keep pace in an age of artificial intelligence.
Ultimately, we can do a full brain-machine interface, meaning that we can achieve a sort of symbiosis with artificial intelligence.
So the Neuralink, how did all of this come about? How did it even come on your radar?
It wasn't on my radar. One of my buddies called me up in the middle of the day, and he said that Neuralink had just gotten approval from the FDA, and they opened up the human trials, and he said you should apply for it. And I was like, what's Neuralink? And I had no idea what it was. So he gave me a 5-minute rundown, and I said, okay, sure, I'll apply. And we applied over the phone. He filled it out for me. He spelled my name wrong on the application, which is super hilarious, I think. I was going through it just, I don't want to say as a joke, but I mean, on my application, I asked for an Iron Man suit. So I mean, I wasn't taking it as seriously as maybe I should have because I didn't think I would get it. There was no way. I'd applied for trials before in the past, and nothing had ever come of it. I just thought maybe something about me didn't really, not sit right with people, but there was something about maybe my accident or my level of injury or just my medical history that disqualified me from a lot. And so I didn't think I would qualify, but I mean, here I am. It was a wild ride.
What was it like when they said you're going to get a Neuralink? Were you thinking oh, maybe I shouldn't have applied?
Oh, no.
What was the initial thing?
No, yeah. It took about a month for me to get through all of the testing. Which was not very long. I went through a bunch of interviews at first, Zoom interviews, Google Meets and things, just talking to different people, talking to doctors, to surgeons, talking about my medical history, psychological history, things like that, like family history and things. And then eventually I went up to Phoenix for a full day of testing, and they tested all sorts of things. They tested blood, urine. They tested things that I had no control over. Things like how thick my skull was and how far was my brain from my skull. Things that they needed to be exactly the right width or exactly the right distance in order for me to qualify. And everything just went so well and like incredibly perfect. More so than it had nothing to do with me. I was just lucky at that point. It just happened to align. And then, a couple months later, they finally told me that they had decided to go with me. And I was never afraid of the opportunity. I was never worried that I had jumped into something a bit too fast. I tend to be a bit rash, tend to do things without thinking sometimes, but the amount of time I spent thinking about this and all of the pros and cons, I know I did my due diligence. And I was never afraid. I was never worried that anything would go wrong. And I always knew that even if something did go wrong, it would be a situation where at least it happened to me and the next person that came along would not have to go through what I went through, or they would learn from whatever happened to me and they wouldn't let it happen again. So I always knew that no matter the outcome, that I would be doing something good for mankind, for humanity, good for, all people. So yeah, I was just excited, honestly.
Wow. And what was it like when you went down and they put it in? Like, how big was the operation? How long did it take? And what was your initial thoughts once it was implanted?
Yeah, it was super easy. The surgery was supposed to take about 3 to 6 hours, and it lasted under 2. Everything just went incredibly well. The surgery itself was super quick, and the recovery was just as quick, I would say. They let me out of the hospital the next day, which I thought was kind of crazy. Yeah. I was like, are you sure? Like, it's brain surgery. Don't you need to keep me for observation or something?
I'm happy to stick around a little bit.
Yeah, just to see. But no, they were like, nope, you're good. Go home. They prescribed me some pain medications for the hospital and then for after the hospital when I went home, and I didn't take any of them. Like, I didn't need them. There was nothing wrong with me at all. I felt great, and I just wanted to get to work. I wanted to try it out. I wanted to, just start moving forward with it.
Whereabouts is it, Noland?
Yeah, do you want to see?
Yeah.
It is on top of my head, on the back left side.
So you can feel this.
Oh, wow.
You can
Yeah,
feel the
touch
lump.
away.
Oh, thank
And then
you.
there's like this L that you can see where the stitches and stuff where they open up.
Wow.
We should
Yep.
probably get the hips. They could see
I
that.
don't know why every time I picture them, I think it's because of like sci-fi films. Like I'm always picturing like a little metal thing like sticking out of the head. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But obviously it's not like that.
Yeah, the previous versions of different BCIs were a lot different. They were a lot clunkier. There's one that I saw that was basically just a giant metal cone that someone would have to plug into on their head. And I'm not saying that, there's anything wrong with that. I mean, we're standing on the shoulders of giants at this point. Like, people have been doing BCI for decades. And so I know how much we have our predecessors to thank for all of the work that they've done. And I couldn't be happier that they did it. And I'm so thankful for the people that have come before me with different BCIs.
Now, I think what some people are failing to realize when it comes to BCIs or brain-computer interfaces is that they're not so dissimilar from the early days of a pacemaker. Back in the day, when pacemakers were first undergoing clinical trials, many people referred to them as being inhumane. But as society has developed and people have become more used to the concept of pacemakers, these days it's not something we would question.
You mentioned to me as well about the fact that obviously you've got the first version and it's not perfect, but you weren't necessarily expecting it to be perfect since it's the first version, right?
Yeah, I knew all along that I was going to have the worst version of this that's ever going to be in someone. I knew that it's only going to get better from here on out. And so that, if anything, that's what caused me pause most before the surgery was, do I really want to do this? Or should I let someone else go first and then I'll get a better version later on? And I thought a lot about it. I talked with my buddy about it, the one who called me on the phone. I talked, so much with other people about if they thought I should do it. I talked with my parents, and I just thought lots of introspection. It just came down to, if anything goes wrong, I would rather it go wrong to me, so that way people don't have to go through, any of the heartache. I keep calling it headache and heartache that I've gone through.
Very quite literally.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What was your thoughts when he told you about it at first?
Nolan's always been super thorough about, just since he was little, he's always been so thorough about making decisions and finding out details in great, length. And so I knew when he brought it up to us, I knew he'd done a lot of thinking, and for him to bring it up and the smile on his face just said it all. And so we just jumped in and we encouraged him and said, we're here. And yeah, as a mom, you worry. It's brain surgery. I mean, there's a lot of things that you don't know about, but I have a lot of faith in what Nolan's decisions are. And we were just along for the ride, and to see what Neuralink was about, and just what he was going to be able to do, the capabilities of his a little more independency. That's all that he's ever wanted to do, and to help others. I mean, all this was so fitting because it was just a package of that he's always wanted to do since his injury. Yeah.
And what can you do with the Neuralink?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can we show
you.
us?
We have it
Yeah,
here for you
absolutely.
if you'd like.
Amazing.
Okay.
All right. Connect. And that's that. You can take this off. Cursor on. Implant disconnect. Connect. And there we go.
Oh, wow. I can see
That's
you
that.
moving the cursor.
Yeah. So that's about it. It's kind of hard to display what's going on. I've run into this issue with a few other people. It literally doesn't look like anything, so it's kind of hard to really describe what's going on. I'm literally just looking at the screen and stuff is moving, but that's about all it is.
How does it feel in your, do you find yourself being focused there or thinking things to make it move?
No, not really. I just look wherever I want it to move, and it moves. I can control it in a couple different ways. We talk about attempted movement versus imagined movement. Attempted is more, you attempt to move your hand in a certain way, and the cursor will go that way, versus thinking about wherever the cursor is going, and it'll go there. Nelly. And yeah, that's about it. I don't feel a thing. It doesn't feel like anything at all. If you told me I had something implanted in my brain, I might not believe you unless I do it.
For someone like Noland, this has been a life-changing piece of technology. It's given him autonomy in his daily life. He's able to communicate with his friends and family by sending text messages or emails. He's able to socialize and play video games. And he's able to control the computer cursor using only his mind.
I can understand how this would give you a lot of hope, and probably keeps you quite driven feeling, almost like you're learning a new skill, does it?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to play around with.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of fun getting to learn how to use this. I've had a lot of fun just interacting with the people who are behind this, the brains behind this, if you will. They're all so amazing, and the technology is amazing. And it was never very hard to learn. It was very intuitive. So, there wasn't like a steep learning curve or anything. It just kind of came to me. I think it'll come to everyone that uses it. It's very, very easy to get the hang of.
And what's the most fascinating thing that you learned from the experts about the tech itself? How does the tech itself work? Do you know much about this?
It's interesting. Basically, there's a chip the size of a quarter. That's implanted on my skull. And there are 64 threads that come off it with 32 electrodes on each thread. Those were all implanted in my brain in the motor cortex. Those electrodes on each thread are placed near neurons, and those neurons fire, and the threads, the electrodes, pick up those firing, and those all correlate to different movements that my body is trying to make. So my spinal cord is the reason why I can't move, obviously. It is not that there's anything wrong with the signals that are firing. It's just that there's a disconnect in the path that it takes. So it fires in my brain, goes through my spinal cord, down my nervous system, into my hand in order to tell me to move. Because my spinal cord is injured, it doesn't get all the way down. The Neuralink, with the threads and the electrodes, picks up those signals that are being fired from in my brain, and it translates that into movement on my computer. The Neuralink itself uses Bluetooth to connect to the computer, so it's just an app that I use in order to control the computer. It's not that I could just control anything I wanted to just by thinking about it. It is solely that through the app I'm able to do these things.
I wrote an article about BCIs. It must have been about 2 months ago,
Okay.
and about all of the wonderful work that's happening in the space and how much independence and hope and autonomy that it can bring people such as yourself who are paralyzed or perhaps have blindness or whatever it may be. And it was really interesting to see how some people seem to think that we're just the governments are just going to round up society and put brain computer interfaces into everybody against their will. That's the kind of thing that people are saying. And I was kind of to these people, that the worst thing that could happen today is that people like Noland and the space doesn't get the funding and the clinical trials that it needs. What's your thoughts about this? What would you like people to understand about the technology?
Yeah, it's not what people think. It is not... I've heard a lot of people say that it will, turn into a mind control device, that people are just going to be listening to my thoughts and they're going to be downloading things into my brain. That's just not how the technology works. People just don't understand where, what is actually going on, where the field is at, what we're trying to do. I just think once people hear my story, and that's part of the reason why I've been doing all of these interviews and doing all of these appearances and talking to as many people as I can. It's because I just want people to understand the technology, understand what we're doing, understand what we're trying to do, because it's going to change lives for the better. It's not just about people being able to download things into their brain, which doesn't happen. It's not something that I'm able to do at all. It's not about, Neuralink listening to my thoughts at all times. It's not about, people being able to, hack into it and, read my thoughts or anything. And it's not like it's a brain control device. It has nothing to do with that. For me right now, and this is very early days, it's only a few months in, it's just enabled me to reconnect with the world. It's allowed me to interact with the world in a way I haven't been able to in 8 years. It has completely changed how I am as a friend and as a son and a brother. It has allowed me to show people what the amazing capabilities of this is. And even with all of the thread retraction, all the problems that we've had, it's still amazing that I'm able to do this. It's still amazing that this is how far we've come, and it's only going to ramp up as more participants join up. And please do, if you would like to, be a part of this and help push this field forward, please apply, because it's going to change everything. I think it's gonna, at some point, I believe it's gonna eliminate, all of these ailments that are plaguing society and have been plaguing humankind since the beginning. Paralysis, ALS, strokes, blindness, things that up until this point we've had fixes for, patchwork fixes, but nothing that has cured these things.
Imagine a world where people like Noland, who have paralysis or neurological diseases such as Alzheimer's or dementia, people who use prosthesis in order to move, Imagine a world where we don't have this suffering, and that these individuals get to achieve their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations. And all of this in the future could may well be a possibility.
We're at a place right now where we're on, the threshold, the doorstep of what I believe is one of the most important advancements in human history in the last, 100 years or more, 1,000 years, couple thousand years since the beginning of time. I don't know, how far back can we go and look at something that has solved more of an issue for humans? Yeah.
So where do you see the future in 10, 20 years' time with your Neuralink?
Yeah, so there's a lot that is possible. I keep joking that Elon Musk needs to put me on a rocket ship and give me a army.
I'll come with you.
Yeah, I know,
We'll have
that
a
would be
party in
amazing.
space.
I know, that would be
That would be
awesome.
cool, wouldn't
Yeah, it'd be amazing. Put me on a rocket, give me some Optimus robots, and I'll go terraform Mars on my own. As long as
I'll
can.
go to Mars when there's a nail salon.
Yeah.
I'll join you there
It's
eventually.
okay. You can bring some people, and I'm sure we can get that started.
Yeah.
It would be amazing. I don't see that is far off. I know that with the capabilities that this allows, you'll be able to connect to all sorts of electronic devices, and the way that the world is going right now with AI and with machine learning, that it just opens up a whole new world of possibilities as far as things that we're going to be capable of doing. And it's nothing to be afraid of. It's a tool to be used. It's not something that we should fear is going to take over the world like Skynet or, Terminator. It's something that we will be able to harness and use for the betterment of humanity. And just in the short term, something that could happen in my life, I think it's very possible, and I've said this a couple of times, I think it's very possible that someone would be able to go into the hospital paralyzed, get this surgery, and a couple days later walk out, and they would never have to go through what I've gone through for 8 years, what other people have gone through sometimes their entire lives, being injured in war or accidents or just being born in a certain way. These things can all be solved almost immediately. My surgery took less than 2 hours. That's something that I know Neuralink is planning on opening up a clinic in Austin where people can go in and get these implanted and walk out same day. It's going to change everything, I feel like, and I don't believe it's that far off.
It's amazing. I don't believe it's that far off either.
Yeah, I know.
As well. And it's just interesting to think in the future, because obviously these days we're carrying around our phones and we're spending so much time in these virtual worlds. I disgustingly spend about 10 hours a day on my phone, which is almost terrible to admit. A lot of it is work, mind you. But I do think we'll start to see the merge of this physical and virtual worlds, and I think we will look back over time and think, oh, how silly was that? We were using our laptops and using our phones and always trying to be in this virtual world. Whereas in the future with our BCIs, perhaps some augmented reality comes up, or we click things with our brain. And I think it will be really interesting, even beyond the medical.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Benefits
just
that it brings.
a way for us to interact with the world in a completely new way.
Yes.
And
we might not even have to open our mouths to speak.
Yeah.
We could connect telepathically almost, perhaps.
yeah, I think that would be amazing. I think there's so much that we don't understand about this technology yet, about the brain in general, and this is only going to get us closer. And I think that's something to, charge headlong into with a lot of excitement. We are on the verge of what I think is something a lot of people find very scary, which is AI is able to do a lot that we can do in a fraction of the time. And people see that as a way to, in my mind, it's a way to give us the opportunity to expand into new fields and new realms and learn new skills. Any sort of technological advancement that you've seen throughout history, it's eliminated a certain field of jobs, a certain field of, work for people, but those people don't just become sedentary. They don't just stop working and become useless to society. A lot of them might be too old to, really contribute much anymore, but most of them will just find different ways to contribute. Most of them will learn other skills. It's nothing that we need to be afraid of with AI. I think it's just a tool that we can use. And merging with that in some way is something that I find really powerful. I think it's something that will only enhance our ability to move forward technologically, move forward societally with the medical field in this case in some ways, or just how we interact with one another, the human consciousness. Like, there's so much that we just don't understand. And I think, and there's so much that AI can help us with. Like, why not use that? Why not, tap into that instead of being so afraid? And at this point, people are saying that we just need to basically cut it all out. We need to stop. We're on a slippery slope. I don't really think that.
Well, I think I completely agree with you. I think what people need to remember is that my job, for instance, didn't exist 20 years ago, like how it does today. And in another 20 years, it's probably not going to exist like how it does today. And that's just life. People evolve. And you're right. People they almost need to get their grit on a little bit. They need to toughen up, really, don't they? And rather than being all passive and moany, they need to think, right, what as a human are the skills and capabilities that I bring to the table that AI doesn't, How can I become a better person and go out there and create my life?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. There are always going to be things that humans can do that AI cannot. And there's something special about life, about humans, about where we are and how we got here. And that's not something that I believe, the answer is 42, as the joke goes. It's not something that simple. And that's only going to allow us more time to, with utilizing AI, it's going to allow us more time to, like you said, better ourselves and learn more about, maybe our history, where we come from, about where we go from here. And I don't think that's anything to fear. I think that's something to embrace. And like I said, that we just need to get excited about it and really dig down and do what we can with the tools that we've been given.
And I think that's what people need to remember when they're almost bagging on Neuralink. It's as you rightly pointed out, you're like, I've got the first version. It's not 100% perfect, but it's brought me so much hope and autonomy in my day-to-day. And the next time after that, and the next version, and the next version, it's only going to get better from here. Yeah.
I think it's something people don't think about very much, is how much it's changed my life just on a personal level, and how many people it's going to help, how many lives it's going to change. The amount of people that have already reached out to me, the amount of people with disabilities who are just asking, like, I want to do this, I want to be a part of this. Like, I've been looking for some sort of purpose that you found, and I think that in itself is worth exploring. This technology, I think that in itself is, worth what I'm doing. I'm very happy.
Tell us a bit about your personal goals and what you may be wanting to work on in the future.
Yeah. There's a lot that I want to do, honestly. There's a lot that I've wanted to do my entire life. My whole life growing up, there's been one constant. And, things have come and gone. I've wanted to, be a police officer. I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a traveling nomad gypsy and just couch surf my way around the world. I wanted to be a shepherd in Ireland, a fisherman in Italy. I wanted to go, just work as a bartender throughout Europe. Like, there's so much that I wanted to do, and all of that has come and gone. And the one thing that I've always wanted is to build my parents a house, something to give back to them, because they've done so much for us and they've sacrificed so much for 5 kids. And I just feel like I need to give back to them in any way I can. Like, I feel like such a burden on those around me, on my parents, on my friends. I mean, they just do so much for me, and I want to be able to provide for myself long term. I want to be able to, get my own place, build a house for myself with everything that I need in it, be able to afford nursing and caregiving and physical therapy. And at some point, my parents aren't going to be able to be my caregivers anymore. Whether that's a tragic accident or whether it's just old age or whatever it is, I need to find some way to be able to provide for myself. And so there's that. And then I also want to start a charity. I've already been talking with my parents today about it. I've been thinking about it for a year, actually. Coming up in June, it's something that I wanted to do for a year. I just want to give back, because all of this, my whole journey, my whole purpose in all of this is not just to benefit myself in some way, which obviously I would like to do. Obviously, I would like to, like I said, provide for myself. But more than that, I want to give back. I want to help other people. I want to like I said, start a charity and find some way to help others who aren't as fortunate as I am, who can't, maybe, like you said, speak as well as I can, and find some way to be an advocate for them in whatever way that is. I would love to do something along those lines. I'd love to work. I haven't been able to work in 8 years, and that sucks. It's terrible. I feel like just a burden on society itself. I would like to get off, social health care and social services in any way. I just don't like being a part of that social safety net. I feel like if I have the ability to work, then I should. And although I'm not physically capable, there are other ways in which I can. There's just so much I want to do still. I want to go back and get my degree. I want to, go and travel. I would like to start a family at some point. Like, there's just so much. And Neuralink has given me that capability, has given me that platform to maybe accomplish some of these things. And I think that is more than anything what I'm thankful for. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about the things I want to do, but I think we'll just let it unfold.
Yeah, I've honestly, I feel your drive. I feel it. So I've got no doubt whatsoever.
I'd like to just get across that the great work that Neuralink's doing, and like I said, hopefully be an advocate for people like me or people who have other disabilities, and find some way to help them. Because I've needed help over the years, and we never really got it. My parents and I got by on our own, and we've been very fortunate that we've been able to manage as long as we have. And I know people don't have the support system that I have. People don't have, I don't know, they're just not blessed like I've been blessed. And so I'd like to give back in some way and help them in any way I can, honestly.
Do you think that perhaps the reason why the media are so either dismissive or fear-mongering is because of Elon Musk's name that's associated with it?
Absolutely. I think that's 100% it. Yeah. For what this offers, I don't see why it's not portrayed as one of the greatest things that's ever happened. The only reason I believe that they would portray it in this negative light is because of Elon Musk, which I think is totally unfair. It's not right of them to do at all. They should be ashamed of themselves. Not one of them has reached out to me and asked, how it's changed my life. They've all just run with whatever negative spin they can put on it. And I think that's wrong.
It's just lazy journalism.
It is.
Yes.
It is, yeah. Well, yeah.
I think what we all need to remember is that the media love to create fear, right? Because fear creates clicks to their articles, and clicks creates some revenue. The media essentially make money from our fear.
Yeah.
And I agree. I don't think it's very fair on you how it's been reported. Like, quite often you're called patient, not Noland. You've got a name. And you're right. Why has nobody reached out to hear your side of the story and all the value that it's bringing you?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. Honestly, I expected it. I knew coming into this that because Elon's name was, tacked onto it all, that I probably wouldn't get the most positive media light. And it doesn't bother me one bit. I know there are going to be people out there like you who will reach out to me and give me an opportunity to give my side of the story. And so I'm happy to stick to those sorts of media personalities, those sorts of independent publishers and things. That doesn't bother me one bit. At some point, maybe they'll come around.
When it comes to the media, like, at least some people get it. You either get it or you don't get it. And people like myself, we see the potential, we see all of the wonderful things that a BCI brings. And again, it brings me back to my original point. What's so different from a BCI than a pacemaker?
Yeah.
And I think people need to start to think these sorts of things and not be so dismissive when it comes to technology. They actually need to explore and understand that nothing in life is black and white. It's nuanced.
Yeah.
Of course, technology is a tool, as you pointed out before. It could be used for good, it could be used for bad.
Yeah.
But we have to be curious and explore, and you're certainly a very curious individual.
Yeah.
I definitely see that and hear that today.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to hear every side of the story. I'd love to go on and talk to people, have them give me their point of view. Like I said, I'm not an expert in any of this. Maybe maybe I'm an expert in like Neuralink.
But you're an expert in your experience.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah,
You've got an
so-
experience that nobody else has had.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, and on the same vein, like you talk about pacemakers and Neuralink and how afraid people were. It's the same with something like LASIK. Like LASIK was demonized at the beginning. People thought it was the scariest thing in the world, and I mean, look at where it's at now. So I don't know. There's a lot that I think this is going to grow, and a lot of potential that it has. And this is like I'm participant 1. I'm P1, and at some point, hopefully, like you said, people will come around. But it's only going to grow, and I think it's only going to get better, and it's only going to expand in its capabilities and the amount of people it's going to help. And hopefully at some point it'll get to the place where people just can't deny it anymore. It's going to get so big and it's going to help too many people that if you're on the wrong side of it, people are just going to start ignoring you, say, okay, well, like obviously there's a different agenda here, but we'll see.
Everyone's going to want one. It's always like that when
Yeah.
it comes to technology. At first there's that kind of resistance, and then once people see the value and the convenience perhaps that it brings them, then 100% they're on board.
And then Noland and I decided to play a game of chess, which I'm very good at, by the way.
Yeah.
Should we play a little bit of chess together?
Yeah,
Do you think
absolutely.
that's possible?
Yeah.
So this is actually what wakes it up. If you hold that, you're just going to push that button. You're going to put it over the implant.
Okay, so I push the button first.
Yeah, sure. And it should turn on. Yep. And then
That's right.
Okay, it's done. That's it.
Oh, amazing.
It connected.
Thank you for the honor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
I mean, people are so worried about like touching it and putting their hands over it and stuff.
Yeah.
I just want people to kind of get over it. It's like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
Okay. Now that cursor should move
Okay.
if you just use a computer like you should, and you could. Yep. You can do whatever you'd like. Ooh. Cursor on.
Game on.
Yeah. Cursor off.
Oh, you're an aggressive player.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
This is fun.
Yeah. Cursor on. Cursor on.
It's just amazing how easy you make it look, right? And how seamless it seems to be.
Sure you want to do that?
No, you're right.
And there you go.
He's a kind player.
Cursor
I'm gonna crush
on.
him. No, just
Cursor
kidding.
on. No, I hope so. Cursor on. I'm gonna move my bishop here to c4.
Previously, when I made a post about BCIs, people commented concerned the whole world would be bullied into having them implanted against their will. But there is no chance of that happening today. What is more immediately concerning is the possibility that BCIs could be a life-changing technology for people with disabilities, but they become unavailable due to lack of research funding, and fear and stigma overtake the common sense of investing in a technology that could potentially save and improve millions of lives. There is always a balance between risk and benefit, and a balance between patient safety and societal good. I don't think we should celebrate Noland as being patient number 1 of the Neuralink. I think we should celebrate Noland as being Noland Arbaugh, a pioneer in brain-computer interfaces, a curious individual who is going out there and actively finding solutions to the world's problems. Someone who believes that through science, medical, and technological advancements, we can help better humanity.